Running a business comes with a lot of what ifs, but luckily there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Hi, it's Eva Longoria, and let's be real. After 40, we should ask for more from our skincare. I swear by Revitalift Triple Power Moisturizer by L'Oreal Paris. With vitamin C, pro-retinol, and hyaluronic acid, it reduces my wrinkles, firms, and brightens. And it's not a procedure. It's just a hardworking moisturizer.
Revitalift Triple Power Moisturizer by L'Oreal Paris. Grab it today in fragrance-free or with SPF 30. Available at your local Target.
Hi, it's Kanika, and I'm back with a brand new season of That's Total Mom Sense, where I interview parenting experts, world-renowned thought leaders, best-selling authors, and trailblazing entrepreneurs on their incredible life stories and mom sense experiences.
Hi, I'm Gabby Bernstein, and you're listening to me on That's Total Mom Sense.
It's me, Bobby Brown, on Total Mom Sense. Can't wait to share my story.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa, and you're listening to me on That's Total Mom Sense.
Pandemic or not, these episodes will inspire you to make every single day count. Episodes release on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Join my tribe and subscribe wherever you listen so you never miss an episode.
I just was frustrated with corporate America. It was particularly hard for women. As the years went on, I found it less and less rewarding. And I really wanted to do something more impactful.
As moms, we often wonder, am I doing enough for my kids? I'm here to tell you, you are super mama. That's because we have an undeniable superpower, our intuition, and it never steers us wrong. I call it our mom sense. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda Gupta, and I'm the host of That's Total Mom Sense. I'm a journalist, entrepreneur, wife, and mom of 3, twins plus 1. Now, if I had $1 every time I heard, gee, you have your hands full. On my podcast, I interview influential moms from various industries and cover topics that all first-time parents grapple with, from getting your baby to sleep to screen time allowance, your new normal in your marriage, and how to dedicate time to yourself. Learn and laugh along with That's Total Mom Sense. So as we were forging through the pandemic, one meme that I came across aptly sums it up. I need to socially distance from my refrigerator. We are eating a ton, and I think we need to be even more mindful of what we're making at home and what we're feeding our kids. And so if you've decided to jump on that bandwagon of going vegetarian or vegan, or by dire need to purchase things that are gluten-free, this is the episode for you. Today, I have Gail Becker on the show with me. She's the founder and CEO of Caulipower. And as a mom in the corporate world, Gail's time was at a premium. For 2 sons with celiac disease, family pizza night was a choice between high sugar, high calorie, low nutrition, store-bought, gluten-free pizza, or a tedious, messy process trying to make it on her own. She finally cracked the code with a cauliflower recipe and is now selling nationwide. According to a Forbes article, when she first started her business, she launched in 30 Whole Foods stores in March of 2017. And since then, her pizza line has surpassed over 10 million pizzas and is available in an estimated 25,000 national and regional grocery stores like Whole Foods, Kroger, Walmart, Safeway, and Target. Her company, Vegolutionary Foods, is branching into new product lines, including a toast made from sweet potatoes that has just hit the market. Gail, I am so excited to be speaking to you because you are the powerhouse behind Caulipower. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So you've had an illustrious career. You've worked in journalism, healthcare, global communications, and now you're in the food and beverage industry. So tell us about, how you began your working life and where it took you.
Going through school, I always knew I wanted to be a journalist. So I ended up wanting to be a broadcast journalist. And so I had my first TV job in Beaumont, Texas, which, out of about 250 markets was about market 124. And I was there for about a year and I covered local news in many different occasions in local news. And then from there, I decided that I wanted to work in Washington. And so then I was a reporter in Washington for many years and ultimately left journalism and worked in government and then in corporate America. And then quite on an unspecified path, I found my way to Caulipower.
Yes, you did. I want to just touch on some of the common ground we have.
Yeah, sure.
So firstly, you worked as a journalist and you were covering the political beat in DC. And I grew up just outside DC. So what was your experience like there?
I really loved working in DC. I loved working and living there. I think one of the reasons I wanted to be a journalist is because I was hoping to make a difference in people's lives. I wanted to give information. I wanted to, help teach people about what was going on in the world. It was really important to me. And so, covering the White House and Capitol Hill, that was really rewarding to me. And I actually think back quite fondly on that job. Now, I also have some videotapes with some very big hair and big shoulder pads. But for the most part, it was a really rewarding experience.
Yes, that's incredible. And then another piece of, commonality that we have is that you've worked with Donna Shalala. So I did my master's at University of Miami in broadcast when she was there, as our president. And she was just remarkable. She actually had host the Democratic presidential debate in 2008. And it was the first ever to be aired on NBC and Telemundo in Spanish.
Love it.
And she's just done so many great things for the university as a whole and in her role as chancellor. So tell me what it was like working with Donna.
She was great. So I worked at the Department of Health and Human Services. There were lots of us there, but she was inspiring, just as you say. But it was a wonderful experience. And I think really gave me my first love of sort of healthcare and issues around surrounding people's health, make sure that people had access to healthcare and, nutrition. And it sort of, I didn't know it then, but it really did end up being something that would motivate me in later in life.
Yes, absolutely. Shed light on, when you became a mom and your journey through motherhood.
That's my most proud achievement, as I'm sure many of your listeners would agree. It certainly wasn't easy for me to become a mother. It took a lot of hard work. Luckily, we had lots of help along the way. I became a mother a little bit later. It was the biggest joy of my life. I have two sons. They're both home now. One is in high school, and the other one, who was in college and supposed to start his brand new job, is now starting his brand new job at home, just like, everybody else. They are my proudest achievement and inspire me in all kinds of ways, including the beginning of Caulipower.
Wow. So what are some of the special memories that you've had with your boys?
I wasn't the typical mom. I always worked. I always have tried to, engage them in my work. Even when I worked in corporate America, we always talked about the things that I did and about the business. I brought them on a couple of business trips. We had a wonderful time. I brought them to Argentina one time on a business trip, and that was fantastic. So, I've always been able to sort of find some intersection between work and my boys. And I always love that because it's hard. You can't give up one for the other. So if you can find a universe where you can meld the two, that's pretty much perfection.
Yes. Now, I just want to touch on the fact that you've actually produced your own documentary film called A Journey with Purpose, which featured your son when he was just 9 years old.
Yeah.
That's just amazing. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's nice. I don't often get a chance to talk about that. So I am the daughter of two immigrants. I'm a first generation American. My parents were both German and Holocaust survivors. My father was in Auschwitz for several years. And when my son was 9 years old, my older son was 9 years old, we went back to take my father back and, just sort of hear the story through his voice. I hired a crew to just videotape the day because I knew it would be something I just want to capture. Never had any intention of making a movie. A couple years later, when he was about 13, I found the video in a drawer and I said, you know what, Joshua, we should do something with this. And the next thing I know, we set off and made a 15-minute documentary called The Journey with Purpose. It's all narrated in his voice. A friend of mine entered it in a bunch of independent film festivals, and we ended up winning, which was crazy. And
Wow.
and Joshua and I went on this journey where we were talking about the making of this video and my father's story. And the best part is it's been shared and part of the Facing History Library. So it's shared in teaching materials when people teach about the Holocaust for young kids. So it's really great.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You've had many different roles that you played at Edelman, which is a global communications firm. Tell us about that and, what you did to make an impact.
So I was at Edelman for 16 years, started off as the head of the LA office, and then I grew to different roles within the company, the head of the Western region, and then had some time as I oversaw Canada and Latin America. So I had some really great opportunities there. I met some amazing people. I traveled to places in the world I would have never seen. I really had wonderful opportunities. And perhaps most importantly, I learned a lot about the business world, and I learned a lot about marketing, and I learned about what companies can do really well. And I learned lessons from companies that didn't do things particularly well.
Right, right. And how did you apply that to, how you've pivoted and launched Caulipower?
Well, it's interesting, being in a client service business like that was really helpful, far more helpful than I ever would have thought. There were so many times when I would sit around a table and sort of say, well, here's what I or we think you should do. And sometimes the client would take the advice and sometimes they wouldn't. One of the great things about starting your own business is you can always take your own advice. And so it's nice. It's been nice for me to be able to act upon some of the ideas, some of the, concepts that not just me, but that people all throughout our company have. And, because of our size, we can, implement them rather quickly. I think my time in corporate America set me up very well for that.
Yes. And what was kind of the impetus for you coming up with Vegolutionary Foods and Caulipower? Was it, a night where you were making this gluten-free pizza and you were like, you know what, I'm so done with this. I need to.
It was really three things, to be honest with you. So the first thing was I was growing rather disenchanted with work. I just was frustrated with corporate America. It was particularly hard for women. As the years went on, I found it less and less rewarding. And I really wanted to do something more impactful. The second thing that, in many ways, maybe the most important was the passing of my father. When my father passed away, something inside me really changed, and I knew I wanted to do something more meaningful. I didn't know what it was, quite honestly, but I did know I wanted to do something more meaningful. And then third was, one night, not long after my father passed away, I stumbled across cauliflower crust pizza. I didn't invent it. There were 569,000 recipes on the internet the day that I looked. And, because my boys had celiac disease, I had always just been very cognizant of being able to put more nutrients in what they were eating. So I made it one night. It was okay. It wasn't great. A couple weeks later, my son said to me, "Oh, Mom, are you going to make that again?" And I said, "There's no way I'm making that again because it took 90 minutes after a full day of work. But I'll tell you what, I'll find it for you." And I looked everywhere and I couldn't find it. And so ostensibly, I took all of those three things, my disenchantment with corporate life, the passing of my father, and this idea that I can't be the only one who thinks 90 minutes is too long to make a pizza crust. I put them, all together. And what I came out with was, I know I'm going to leave corporate America and I'm going to start a company and I'm going to call it Caulipower.
Good for you. I love the name, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
So how did you come up with that? I feel like there's an aha moment for that too.
Probably less sexy than one would want. I wish I could say, oh, it just came to me in the middle of the night and I could hear the angel sing. It really wasn't. A friend of mine who I had worked at Edelman with, he and I got on the phone and I said, oh, I'm struggling with a name. And the two of us just talked for about an hour and then it came out and, we sort of both knew, oh yeah, that's it. And I was really surprised that I got it. I thought it would already be taken, but I got it. So I was really excited.
That's great. That's so great. A Pop Sugar article gave a rare 6 out of 5 score as compared to the Trader Joe's variety of cauliflower pizza. And they said a few things that caught my attention. They said the crust was on fleek, and some other notable quotes. Is this really cauliflower? And it's not delivery. It's not DiGiorno. It's better. So was that, a turning point in the branding and the journey of Caulipower? Did that kind of set things up for you that this was better than Trader Joe's?
You know what? It did it in an interesting way. I'll tell you. So we were first to market, obviously. And then I think we had been out maybe 6-8 months and Trader Joe's came out with their cauliflower crust. And I remember waking up that morning and thought, oh my God, it's over. Trader Joe's came out with it. It's over. Shortly thereafter, that article hit. And it was such a good lesson because I realized, first of all, Trader Joe's is actually rather small in the world of retail. If you think about it, Trader Joe's has about 400 stores and Walmart has 4,000.
Oh, wow.
So just to give you some size of scale, you can't be afraid of competition. And what I realized is actually when Trader Joe's introduced their pizza, it just made everybody want Caulipower more. It ended up being such a gift. And I remember when that Pop Sugar article hit, because it was such a validating moment. It was yeah, I can take on competition. It certainly has come. And I think we've held our own. So it was a memorable day.
That's so cool. I love it. Now, is there a secret ingredient? How is yours different from the varieties out there that you're this is my little trade secret. We won't tell anybody.
Well, we don't put in any secret ingredients other than, a lot of love and a lot of care. It took a long time to come up with that formula. And as I always say, when I think about Caulipower and, born out of a mother's love, as opposed to a lot of these big companies that, we often share the freezer space with, we bet on the consumer. We bet that the consumer is going to know the difference. Some big companies bet against the consumer. They think that they won't know the difference. But everything that we do at Caulipower is made as if you were doing it at home. We keep that top of mind and it has served us well.
So there's this video where on your website where kids are making faces in disgust of eating actual cauliflower. And they're it tastes like broccoli. But it cuts to them devouring pizza. So was that always inherently the goal to just, get kids to eat their veggies?
It was to get kids to eat their veggies. That was certainly a goal. However, it was never to sneak them in. There are companies and brands that believe in sort of, sneaking in veggies. I actually think quite the opposite. I think if you don't tell kids the magic that vegetables can do, then they're not learning anything and you're sort of denying them that pleasure of discovering the magic of vegetables. I believe in that so strongly. We have it in our name. We don't hide anything. In fact, we celebrate the vegetable.
We all love a legendary comeback, and Degree Original Cool Rush is back and better than ever. Cool Rush isn't just a scent, it's a movement, a fan favorite that delivers bold, fresh vibes and all-day sweat protection. Whether you have a man that spends hours in the gym, heads into the office early, or is just trying to stay fresh on a long day, Cool Rush has their back. Head to your local Walmart or Target and grab Degree Cool Rush, the fan favorite scent from the world's #1 antiperspirant brand.
I turned off news altogether.
I hate to say it, but I don't trust much of anything.
It's the rage bait.
It feels like it's trying to divide people.
If we got clear facts, maybe we can calm down a little.
NBC News brings you clear reporting. Let's meet at the facts. Let's move forward from there. NBC News, reporting for America.
We're a little bit different that way, but I get lots of emails from people who say that they, snuck it into their kid or their husband. I get those a lot too. And everybody leaves happy. So
exactly. That's so cool. So what is it that differentiates Caulipower from other brands? How you just nailed the flavor?
So most people who buy our products don't eat gluten-free. And it's a very small percentage. And the rationale is, I remember when my boys were little, their friends would come over and I'd want to make lunch for everybody. So I naturally want to make a bunch of frozen pizzas. My sons would always say, Mom, don't give our friends the gluten-free pizzas. Just give those to us. Give them the regular pizzas. Because they were embarrassed. They were embarrassed of the way that they looked and tasted. And, what stuck in my head then, but I obviously didn't know it until now, was, wouldn't it be great if everyone could just eat the same thing? Even if everyone has a different reason for doing it. Maybe you want low-calorie pizza. Maybe you want a gluten-free pizza. Maybe you just want a great tasting pizza. Whatever your rationale for eating it, it doesn't really matter because we can all share the same meal and from the same plate. And that is really the ethos behind Caulipower. If kids weren't going to eat it, what the heck was I doing?
Right.
So my kids were the ultimate taste testers. Nothing went into market that didn't pass their taste test. People often forget it has to taste good. So taste is a big part of that, but also the fact that our crust gets crispy and really mimics the pizza experience, I think is another huge differentiator between the actual products. But it's that notion of not having to sacrifice taste for health or convenience.
Yes, exactly. So tell us about some of the staple flavors that you have.
So pizzas, we have the 4 SKUs that we launched with. We have our crusts. We have 3 cheese. We have veggie and margarita. We also have turkey pepperoni and all natural pepperoni, which are also great. And then 2 brand new flavors of pizza, which are just hitting stores now. We have buffalo chicken, which is really exciting, and sriracha veggie. That's also really good. So those are just hitting the stores now.
Yum. I can't get enough of the phrases too. Live life on the veg and pizza, your favorite vegetable. Just so witty. I love it.
Thank you.
Now you've diversified. And so I think, your consumer has so much more to try. So tell us about the other SKUs you've added.
Yeah. So we have tortillas, regular and grain-free cauliflower tortillas. We have our sweet potatoes, which are simply sliced sweet potato, sliced like a piece of bread. And then you can use them as a bread replacement for avocado toast or peanut butter and banana or whatever you want. And then we also have our chicken tenders, which are coated in cauliflower, and then they're baked and not fried. They're the healthiest chicken tender on the market. Then we just launched our new riced product, which are little cups of flavored riced cauliflower in these beautiful flavor profiles that have never been done, and beautiful ingredient, clean label, and recyclable and microwavable cup.
That's so awesome. Can you explain how, the ingredients that you use are different from, when you order in, and how they actually are more nourishing for us?
Yeah, we always strive to come up with the best labels that we can to make them as clean as we can, as nutritious. Cauliflower and sweet potatoes are obviously very nutritious on their own. Our sweet potatoes is a single ingredient product. That's all there is just sweet potatoes. So I don't think things have to be complicated in order to be delicious. When you compare our chicken tender with, all the chicken tenders on the market, not only do you see a notable difference in the nutrition because the fact that they're not fried, but there's no sugar, no oil. It's the best part of the chicken. So we always use the finest ingredients and then try to keep them as simple as we can while also putting taste at the forefront.
Wow. Awesome. Tell us about the Caulipower and Chill kind of campaign you came up with.
basically, Caulipower and Chill was our answer to the fact that we couldn't sample anymore. Here we had all these wonderful plans to take our truck and show up at these concerts and venues and give out lots of free samples of Caulipower pizza. Well, guess what? We can't do that anymore. And so we had to come up with other ways in which to introduce and sample our pizza. So we also kept in mind that people were bored, that they needed entertainment, they needed content all of the time. And, you know, a lot about the brand is really to make people smile. You said that you like the phrases on the front of our boxes. That's quite purposeful. We like to make people smile. We like to make people laugh. We poke fun at ourselves. And so Caulipower and Chill, we invited, 4 well-known influencers, including Dan Levy of Schitt's Creek, and they made a pizza. They took our crust and each created their own pizza. And some of them were wildly popular. And it was really great to watch the engagement on these Instagram lives and see how many people really enjoyed it. I did one myself, certainly not as popular as Dan Levy, but I had a lot of fun.
Yes. No, I love that. How do you kind of stay with the times and with the pulse of like promoting in this way? Because it's just uncharted territory now with social media and leveraging celebrities and influencers in this way.
Yeah, I think we're all sort of feeling our own way. We have a program where we surprise and delight, where people, we had one the other day of this woman who said she was going to make cauliflower. It was their 1-year anniversary, and she was going to make cauliflower. So we sent her a whole basket of goodies and wine and so forth, just so they could make a whole evening of it. So we look for these stories online. People share this with it, and we like to surprise and delight. We want to get our products in as many people's hands as possible. Yesterday or recently, we just gave out 1,000 free bags of our chicken tenders because we want to get them in people's hands. We want you to try them because there's, we can't do demos in the stores. We can't do demos on the street. So, it's all about getting our product into everybody's hands.
And you are also very dedicated to philanthropy, which I think is really, really wonderful. So tell us about the charitable organizations that you work with.
Yeah, so since we sold our very first pizza, we've always been involved with teaching gardens, which are basically building these gardens in underserved schools across the country. And these gardens are amazing because they're like learning laboratories, real life learning laboratories for these young kids to plant vegetables and nurture them and harvest them and then cook with them. And so we were planting all these teaching gardens. In fact, we committed $1 million over 3 years. What ended up happening, though, is because of COVID, guess what? Kids aren't in school.
Yeah.
And when they're not in school, not only are they missing out on a lot of the vegetables that were, coming out of these gardens, but just the regular lunches, which a lot of families around the country rely on. So we, together with the American Heart Association, did a quick pivot. We were feeding 100,000 people in 4 cities, giving out free boxes of fresh produce every week in Los Angeles and 3 other cities, in Philadelphia and Memphis and Chicago. I've been able to participate a couple times, and it's probably the most rewarding thing I've ever done. People are incredibly grateful. People are waiting in line for these boxes of produce, which is tragic. I will tell you that, I gave one box to someone a couple weeks ago, and she looked at me and she said, "Oh my gosh, now we can have a salad." And, it's things that many of us take for granted, that it's just such a privilege to be able to help. I wish we could do more. We always run out. I hope that other people are there to fill in the gaps.
Yes. And is that something that you try and kind of impress upon your kids, that mom has built this company, but I make it a point to give back?
Absolutely. I mean, that's something I hope that I impressed upon them long before Caulipower. We always try and leave the world a little better than we found it, whatever that means. That's our purpose. That's our mission. And that's their responsibility. I still remind them of that. With all the issues in the world today and all the topics, there's certainly no shortage of things to talk about and ways to inspire your kids and encourage them to take action, whatever it is that, they believe in.
Yes, exactly. Was there a point in time, I'm sure there's many, but that you really just vividly remember where you trusted your built-in sixth sense? That's really what the name of the show is all about. So that superpower that we have as moms, and were you just so thankful for it?
I guess it's probably the moment that I decided to start Caulipower in the first place. Because, I didn't know anything about food other than I cooked it, bought it, and ate it. It was a really scary moment. And I got through it because I talked to my kids about it. And I asked if they thought that this was something I should do. And they encouraged me. And in fact, I sat them down at the kitchen table and had them watch me as I made the very first call to start the business so that they could be there at that moment. Have it as something that they could draw upon later in life, that it's never too late.
Yes, that is incredible.
Let's not forget our quote of the day.
So what is a quote that you live by?
If you don't bet on yourself, no one ever will.
It's so true. You just gotta go for it.
Exactly. Especially when you have kids, because that's what you want to teach them, right? You want to teach them self-reliance and and look, life is not always going to be easy. There's going to be lots of hard things. You're going to find yourself in jobs you don't like. You're going to find yourself in relationships that aren't healthy. You're going to find yourself in all these things. So you have to be able to have enough self-confidence and motivation to get yourself out. And that's why I sat them down that day, because I wanted them to see that, you can always bet on yourself. You should. You can't ask other people to do that if you're not willing to.
Yes, exactly.
It's now time for Mom Haul, when we share products we love.
Is there an item, it could be an app or, some sort of product that you're loving right now that you want to share with the audience?
So now that we're at home, I don't know about you, but I find myself taking much better care of myself. I didn't always have time to put on lotion or moisturizer or creams or sunscreens or anything. Like I would just run out the door and just not do it. So I'm doing all of that much more. But that also includes drinking a lot more water. So my son got me the special bottle that holds all of these fruits and vegetables, and I infuse the water with it. Never had one before. And now I drink from it every day. And I really think I'm drinking more water because of it, which sounds so simple. But I guess the other one, just from an app perspective, is something called I Am a Voter. And it's nonpartisan. Yes. And it's just to help people make sure that they're registered to vote, make sure that they know all the rules and regulations and that they're all ready. And I think that's also really important. So I'm encouraging people to use that.
Absolutely. Tell us where audience can find you and find Caulipower.
Well, you can find me on every social media channel. That's pretty easy. Far more important than me is Caulipower. We're at 25,000 stores. You can get us at Whole Foods, Target, CVS, Walmart, Kroger, Albertsons, Safeway, you name it, and thousands of and Amazon, tens of thousands of retailers across the country. And we're coming out with new products all the time.
That's so wonderful.
Thank
Gail,
you.
It was such a pleasure to interview you and share your story. As I said in the beginning, you are a powerhouse, and I'm so excited for what's to come for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks to everyone.
Thank you for listening to my chat with Gail. This year, she's been featured as one of Entrepreneur Magazine's 100 Powerful Women. And there's no doubt she has one of the top 10 fastest growing companies, Caulipower, in America, which is incredible. I also want to give a shout out to her PR company and my friend, A Game PR, which is run by Anita Chatterjee. So thank you, Anita, for connecting us. I love you. And definitely check out Caulipower in a grocery store near you and have fun with pizza night again, because it really is guilt-free. If you have suggestions for show topics or guests that you think need to be on this show, Write to me at thatstotalmomsense@gmail.com, or you can slide into my DMs on Instagram. My handle is at Kanika Chada Gupta and at That's Total Mom Sense. I cannot wait to hear from you. Remember, always trust your mom sense. Stay strong, super mamas. Till next time.
That's Total Mom Sense.